there seems to be a clear design, especially since 2014, to demonize the rising of a nation. You have written extensively, you have spoken extensively with a lot of people, media. Could you just give us a brief of what's happening?
I don't think there's any explicit Western anti-Indiaism or anti-Hinduism. I think instead what we're seeing are Indian domestic politics being pulled into these international arenas and international institutions. Remember, when The Economist or Freedom House or the Rise of Democracy Institute evaluates global democracies, for them, India is just one case among many, one among more than 200 countries that they're ranking. And they don't have any particular agenda for India. However, Indian intellectuals, both at home and abroad, non-resident Indians living in the US and Europe, they do have an agenda. And unfortunately, many people and many intellectuals find it difficult not to conflate their personal political views with what is supposed to be an objective evaluation of a country's democracy level. To be clear, when these organizations rate Indian democracy, they don't do it as organizations. That is, they don't send their own staff out on fact-finding missions. Imagine how many staff it would take to do that for 200 countries. They rely on the advice of expert panels, people they've contacted who are familiar with the situation in each country, who then report back to these organizations. Now, I'm sorry to say that in India, many people are perfectly willing to use international organizations as a tool to promote their own political agendas. I can't point fingers. I don't know who is doing that and who is not. All I can say is that the circumstantial evidence is very clear that, let's face it, most Indian intellectuals are not fans of Prime Minister Narendra Modi or of the BJP. And Indian intellectuals as a whole are those who are filling the information forms for these international organizations.
These institutions, which have a credible record, I mean, they have a credible backing and they have a reputation to save, are they not really worried about how the whole narrative will maybe may not may be true or may not be true, and then it will raise a question mark.
Look, I think they are compromising their reputations by not being careful enough to edit and curate the opinions that feed into their reports. When I looked specifically at the reports from the Economist Intelligence Unit, Freedom House, and Sweden's Variety of Democracy Institute, going into the footnotes to find the substantiation for the claims that were made for a dramatic decline in Indian democracy, especially in 2019, all of the organizations specifically point to 2019 and the re-election of the BJP government as being the moment when Indian democracy died. I mean, Sweden's Varieties of Democracy Institute says that as of 2019, India is no longer a democracy. India is now, according to V-Dem, an electoral autocracy. Well, this kind of inflammatory language seems much more the language of in the trenches politics than the language of what should be an objective international ratings organization. Yet these organizations have allowed themselves to be weaponized. And of course, that does diminish their own reputation. It's something that they should be taking more care about. I mean, I can cite examples of places where inaccurate or intentionally or seemingly intentionally misrepresented data have made their way into the narrative reports for these organizations. And it really is shocking.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.